just ban away the Lance. We saw it a little bit before. We saw it last match, like Lance was banned, but I don't think he's that much of a problem. But they're gonna carry on with what happened before, and this time Elite Eight gonna go for the impunity strategy of first picking Vox. It's really odd how Vox receives no buffs. He doesn't get changed in 2.9, and just everyone else gets changed around him. Loads of other heroes get buffed, nerfed, and Vox just goes, "No, you can first pick me. I'm still a really, really good hero to pick this patch." But I suppose Bren Esports picked the Arden. They probably want to go for a pretty similar comp to what they went last game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a Kestrel band, or no, we can see the Rhyme bands. This is baiting out an Alpha ban from Elite 8, and I think if Alpha isn't banned, it will be picked by Bren Esports most likely.
Yeah, there you go. We do expect the Rhyme coming out, a Rhyme ban coming through. Although I was expecting it as the first phase of ban, but eventually we see it. So all in all, I guess I was kind of right. I'm kind of swaying, and I'm not very, very sure of my words at this point. But Rhyme is very strong. Although we haven't quite seen a lot of emphasis as well coming out from the other teams for that Rhyme. But Vox, an interesting pickup. And there you have it, the Petal ban coming out from Elite 8. Although I personally don't think that Bren Esports will settle for that Petal. Baron is still on the table, and Mr. Jim plays a rather mean Baron himself, and with damage changes reverted back to a couple of patches back, Baron seems to be quite intelligent choice for Mr. Jim. However, the set of Bren Esports will settle for that Castro, whether played in the jungle or in lane. It's another question.
Yeah, most probably going to be a lane weapon Kestrel. That's what we've seen almost exclusively this patch and last patch as well, with the CP ratio being nerfed on Kestrel. It really made her less favourable in that position. And the Petal ban was mainly so that Elite 8 said, no, you're not going to get the same draft as last game. We're going to get rid of the Petal so that you can't secure that. And that means that Kestrel was left open. We saw Elite 8 banning away Kestrel away from Bren Esports before. This time they had to let it through. They had to ban the Petal instead. This time Elite 8 are going, okay, we can pick Alpha. What are you going to do against it? You can't pick your Rhyme. You banned it away. You can't go Lance, which is normally quite good against Alpha. And so Elite 8 thinking, yeah, Alpha's a really good hero. Surprise, surprise. One game when Bluxty goes 12-0 on Alpha, and suddenly she's a priority pick. Lyra, a great hero to round out that comp. Elite 8 have got a really strong competition here. Now, Bren Esports have got to pick their last counter pick as most likely a Crystal Power jungler. I suppose Ozo could work quite well. Batiste would be good against the Alpha. It wouldn't be the best because Vox is quite good against Batiste, and it doesn't really work with Kestrel. But I think Ozo could work well. So could something like a Taka, just ignore the Alpha, just dive onto Vox. But again, it is tough for Bren Esports to pick anything, and they're going to go for the Sky. Bren Esports saying, okay, Elite 8, you couldn't beat Alpha with Sky, but we can.
Oh wow, that's quite a bold statement, whether it's coming from you or Bren Esports. I'm not doubting their ability. They are just looking very strong as compared to Elite 8, but their drafting, I want to say that Elite 8 definitely have got the upper hand in this draft, and their draft just looks so much more robust. Lyra has seen as a priority. It has not been banned out in any of the phases this time round, and including the following game as well. But Elite 8 actually did ban out the Castro the last game. Thus, Bren Esports maybe trying to play the mind game and just picking that Castro to go up against a Fox. We constantly say as casters that Castro can outpoke a Vox in the early game, but Vox's power spike comes so early because of how cheap Poison Shiv is. So with that Poison Shiv being picked up by Vox in the early game, then Vox can just out-sustain a Castro anytime. Unless, of course, we do see yet again Bren Esports just putting a lot of pressure in that lane in the early game going up against this Vox, then maybe it'll work. But then again, we have to consider as well that Lyra is constantly a threat. The sustain that Lyra provides, and on top of that, you have the Alpha that can just go on top of a Castro, burst your Castro down, and just make her, a fastest way back to base. So, all in all, I want to say Elite 8 definitely came out on top of draft. I really like the draft coming out from the side of Elite 8.
It seems like we're thinking that Alpha is the way to go in this patch. Whoever gets Alpha seems to have the better draft, but we are going to have to wait and see how it's going to be executed. Early game is going to be, again, it's going to be passive from both sides. There's there's little reason for Sky to go in aggressive at level 1. If Alpha decides to fight you, then you have no Sui Strike to run away. And so it's most likely they're going to see both teams getting to level 2. Then it's very likely we're going to see a fight. Alpha loves a level 2 power spike. Sky feels pretty confident once you get to level 2. Same with Kestrel. Arden not so much. And Lyra really is happy with level 2. So I think that will be a really big fight over the Elder Tree once everyone's leveled up. And then from that, we might see a bit of aggression from Elite 8 with the Alpha going in, but it won't last very long. You'll see Alpha maybe get one back rotation and then just farm her own jungle for pretty much the rest of the game until she hits at least level 6. And at that point, Crystal Sentry is spawned, so you're not going to be able to still farm away unless you manage to get the tier 2 turret from Bren Esports.
But what I'd like to see coming up from Elite 8 this time is maybe the early game pressure and, just pushing down that early game tower, and then afterwards just continuously just pressure Bren Esports out of their own jungle, take the sentry, gain some, control over the rotation, over the map itself, probably settle for the gold mine early game, have priority and emphasis on that gold miner. It gives 400 gold for a reason. It has quite a big objectives coming into any game. But talking about game, we are into the second match of this series between Elite 8 and Bren Esports. And casting this match alongside me, I request a duo. Thank you for your analysis, Minimizer. Okay, another awkward silence.
Hopefully, we have I requested duo joining you for some point during this game, actually.
I hope so as well. I don't want to be solo cast in this game, and I'm sure I Request a Duo will be more than happy to just hop on to this second game with me and alongside me. However, we do see Elite 8, and it may save me still on the usual, rotation clearing up lane now. So we have I Request a Duo back. Welcome back, brother.
Hello, and it is good to be back into the second match between Elite 8 and Bren Esports, and a bit of a turnaround there. Elite 8 deciding to take away the Alpha from the side of Bren this time. So a good draft coming out from, I'd say, both teams, but I do like Elite 8's overall, especially going into that late game and into mid even with the Vox will work out well for them. But they need to be careful here in the early game as Mr. Jim putting a lot of pressure down with those glimmer shots and actually pushing them back into the lane. They are able to heal up thanks to the Imperial Sigil, but no farm to be stolen here. There's that one shop minion, but beside Bren Esports decide, okay, we're just going to go back to base, buy the extra item to be ahead of the enemy. But on the side of Elite 8, we see them doing similar tactics, and now Hanyega is going to go take this initial rotation in the backs with Official Hein, is going to get a bit of ambient gold perhaps. They're going to give the farm over onto the Vox, and it looks like it is just for ambient gold at this stage. And they want to make sure Alpha also ends up in a good point. I'm not sure whether they'll go for the full kind of hyper carry mode onto this Vox.
Yeah, I personally don't think so, but I mean, even hyper carry on this Vox is sitting on a mere 6 CS, whereas 7 CS now, and then of course you have Alpha on 10 CS. But the aggression that I really want to see coming out is actually from Elite 8. They have more sustained damage, and we saw time and time again that Alpha is just so very strong in the early game because she has the full health, right? She can go in, don't have to be quite afraid. But we saw Mr. Jim on that caster just able to push Alpha back, and just back in the way, and just leave Elite 8 just backed away basically. And so Bren Esports now, Bren Esports is a very I want to say interesting, but that is not quite a word for them, because they definitely have two kinds of play style. When they are on the battle, they enjoy early game aggression, they just go so hard, and then they just simmer off in the mid game. And then they come back again, just ramp up, have got the items, they just want to put down the pressure. But, as for other games, with the Castro, especially with a Baron, you realize what Bren Esports generally would just like to do is basically just turtle up, not be aggressive at all, just play as safe as possible, and then come back when they have items. So they just lack the early game aggression. So coming into this game, I'm not surprised whatsoever. If they are just going to farm up, we're going to see a very, very stagnated, very passive game coming out from both teams.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I do think it will be a bit more that kind of play style coming up from the side of Bren Esports, more or less. The only problem there is when you're going into an Alpha and a Vox who just scale so well into that mid and late game, you're also putting that challenge up for yourself going into those fights. Of course, if Bren Esports are able to do a good enough job at farming, if they're ever able to take the advantage, maybe they could even try secure some early objectives, then we might see that Bren Esports will have a better chance into that late game. But otherwise, I think Elite 8 might be able to take this game a lot easier just looking at the drafts.
Well, I mean, just look at the draft alone, like we mentioned, Vox just does so well against a Castro, although before the poison shift is built, Castro will do relatively well in terms of poking down Han Jaeger on that Vox, but after the, poison shift, Vox has gained, extra form of sustain on top of Lyra's Imperial Sigil, so Vox will definitely be looking very strong in the early mid-game as compared to Castro before Castro gets her item, but now Sync 1, the 4 barrage is hitting both Han Jaeger and Official High, no doubt, although it's not doing much damage, but will just chase them away after Han Jaeger actually picking up that poison shift. So this is a time when Vox is just so much stronger as compared to Mr. Jim, although Mr. Jim, stat to stat wise, you would think Mr. Jim will be on top, right? I mean, has got a Sorrow Blade, has got a Minion's Foot, a lot of damage. But Han Jaeger just got so much sustain, the Mortal Wound as well will just come in very, very clutch in a lot of 1v1 and a lot of team fights as well. So let's just see how it plays out. But I'm going to go, just talk to me for a little. I mean, we are looking at a very late game team comp coming up from Bren Esports. But yet, we are not seeing Elite 8 quite pushing their advantages now.
Yeah, I think that for Elite 8, they might have just triggered the Caster's Curse there, as you say. They're not pushing their advantage. They are looking for a bit more aggression here. They are being respectful of Mr. Jim with that Kestrel, and it's as you mentioned, the items, stats, they match up, or in fact, Mr. Jim would be expected to have more damage with the Sorrow Blade and Minions, but Han Jaeger's, of course, with the sustain, and I think that's where they really went out, that Mr. Jim only has that burst damage as long as they have the Glimmer shots up, and then it really falls off once those go down, and they have to either just stop auto-attacking to get the recharge on them, or just continue using their basic attacks, which aren't as effective, whereas a lot of the time it will also be hard to make full use and full effectiveness of those Glimmer shots, as Han Jaeger's on this Vox going to be able to dodge out a lot of them with the Sonic Zoom. And then the overall kit that you talked about, once Vox has that Poison Shift, just has that sustain, that boost, that real kind of oomph. Needs to go into the late game. It helps with that transition. And meanwhile, Official Hein on this alpha is slowly starting to build up, has that aftershock already. More than likely going to go for the Dragon's Eye. I wouldn't see why not. And then we do see Han Jaeger's picking up the breaking point. So you're right, both teams slowly getting built up. I think it just comes down to the fact that the transition will be better for Elite 8. So they don't necessarily need to push more aggression, because I think it will be smoother for them overall. And a one-shot, one-kill going into the bush will spot out Official Hein, and Bren Esports as a whole team going to be up in this lane, making sure that Mr. Jim not going to get jumped on by that alpha. And good job by the, I was going to say by the Arden, but he's actually vanguarding himself in that situation, so it won't be up for another 3 seconds, but good use of the death from above on the backline to keep Elite 8 zoned. However, Elite 8 looking kind of comfortable here as they push up to this initial turret, and they're going to go under turret, as you see Official Hein doing a lot of damage to Sync 1. There's going to be the Gauntlet catching out, guessing Official Hein and Sync 1 in it all alone. Meanwhile, Anime saved me a bit of an odd use with the Imperial Sigil. No one really to follow through behind them. There's going to be the Fountain on the side of Elite 8 as we now see Official Hein going into that backline, being forced to stay in the fight because of the and there's going to be the first blood actually going over to the side of Elite 8. I'm not sure. I didn't quite catch that. I was watching Official Hein as they were fighting out with Sync 1, but Han Jaegers and Mr. Jim going to trade out their lives.
Yep, and this is what I'm talking about in this mid-game when, Elite 8 just have got so much more damage as compared to the side of Bren Esports. They could have just pushed the advantage much earlier. They kind of waited to, say, about the 8-minute or the 7.5 minutes into game before they actually started pushing, whereas they can actually just push at 5 minutes in after, Official Hein got the first aftershock. Elite 8 could have had enough damage to just go in and just put down so much damage already. But looking over to what the entirety of a Bren Esports is actually building, we have Sync1 actually settling for that Shattered Glass and not the traditional Frostburn build. That means the side of Bren Esports definitely do not have that soft CC the Sky usually provides for the team, barring that from above. So there is no slow coming up from Forward Barrage. There is only just hard, just raw crystal damage. But now Elite 8 definitely just looking very strong, looking very comfortable. They have got items, they have got the damage. They can just push into this second tier turret if they so want to. But however, they can just go for the gold mine. Once again, Elite 8 not really prioritizing on the gold mine at all.
Yeah, Elite 8 being a bit cautious here to not go for it yet. They do have the advantages of it taking the first turret away, so they have that roaming potential. There's going to be Alpha going in with the Termination Protocol, and then the Arcane Passage followed through. Anime Saving Hanyegas is going to get caught out in that gauntlet with the rest of Bren Esports, but Hanyegas needs to be careful on that front line. There's going to be the Fountain used for them to keep them alive and in the fight, and Vox going to go in after the Alpha to just finish off these kills, getting a double for himself. Sync1 kiting back, doesn't have that Frostburn as you mentioned before, so not going to be able to slow down Official Heinz engage, but it could be more so for the fact that they're looking to get Alpha when they're down, just help burst them down so they don't get that perk from the Infinite Reboot. And it looks like Vox going to get the unofficial triple finally as he manages to catch out that Sky, not letting them escape, but they don't get the ace benefits out of it. They do, however, have the confidence to go into this gold miner now.
Yep, and at this point, the side of Bren Esports really should just turtle up, right? Submit to the strategy that they are so good at, not just blindly just looking for fights and just pushing in. We constantly see Gassing's gauntlet. I really like Gassing when he's on the Ardent because his gauntlet are very consistent and very aggressive when he needs to be. But for some odd reason, Gassing can never throw down a gauntlet in defense at all. And a lot of gauntlets being thrown down, for all the team fights were very aggressive, trying to trap Official High out. But trapping the Alpha out wouldn't quite help your team at all.
Yep, and we see a bit more aggression from Bren Esports now as the Death from Above views forcing out the Arcane Passage as well, but they're just going to heal up on that backline with the Imperial Sigil. We see Hanyegas actually making a return back to base, leaving up to Official Hein and Anime Save Me to try protect this turret, but might finally fall into the hands of Bren Esports. They have a few minions here to push with. There's going to be the Death from Above to help secure the objective. And now Hanyega's rejoining the fight, but they're not going to be able to catch up with Bren Esports in time. So Bren Esports doing a good job to be a bit more patient there and wait for the right opportunity to take their objective. And as you said, it is kind of like the whole fact that they need to work on their gauntlet usage as well in terms of defensive. And it isn't always so good to see a defensive gauntlet used, but I think that in the right situation, if they're able to at least stun out or trap out one person, especially this Vox who has no armor at all, if they can punish Elite 8 for bad positioning, they might be able to turn it around. But so far, Elite 8 doing a great job this match, playing it very well with the team comp they have.
Yep, Gassing should really prioritize on that Atlas Pauldron very soon. He's probably waiting for a couple of more goals before he can complete that Atlas Pauldron, but Echo will be prioritized instead of the Atlas Pauldron just to shut Han Jaeger down on this Vox. I mean, I think that is quite the only way to stop Vox. I personally don't think that Echo is quite needed. Maybe for the long-term investment for that late game when you can draw yourself a Venn diagram, it'll be useful. But at this point in time, when a team really needs to just stay low, farm up, get their items, I don't think it's exactly the best item to get. But Anime Save Me, or the entirety of Elite 8 just playing so very aggressive.
Yep, and we see the gauntlet going down. There's going to be the death from up above in the background. There's the Venn diagram you were talking about, but not being used effectively as Hunyega's just going to go in there, picking up the kills. 18 stacks on that breaking point. Going to follow through and be able to find guessing on the backline. Meanwhile, Sync1 doing what they can, all on their lonesome to try run away from this fight. They do not have that Frostburn available to them, as you mentioned before, so it's going to be that much tougher. But Crystal Sentry is there, but Official Hind's going to manage to find the prime directive onto them and manage to pick up the kill. We now see they're going to also get the Crystal Sentry out of it. Might be even eliminating it. No, one more life left on that. And Goldmine, another good objective to move onto, as well as that turret, just pushing the side of Elite 8 so much further ahead into this match. We see them 32.6k gold at the moment, and if they're able to secure this gold mine, it's just going to help them that much more, over to the 27.2k on the side of Bren Esports. So you can see Guessing flaring it out, really doesn't want to let it go over, but the one shot, one kill going to come out just too late, and there's not going to be a steal for the side of Bren Esports.
Yep, Mr. Jim now has got double Tyrants Monaco working towards that. Hopefully a bone saw. If not, then it's a tension bow. Now it's quite rarely seen tension bow on the Castro. Usually people will go for the tornado trigger for the 100% crit. If not, then the bone saw just for the extra shield shred. But coming through from Han Jaeger, looking at his build, his items are so very cheap. So as long as Guessing X can hold his team together for just a tad longer, just for Mr. Jim to just complete that Aegis into that Bone Saw. If not, then for Sync1 to complete that final CP item, the side of Bren Esports will have had an equal fight, but that Echo definitely is not helping anything, but the official high very, very low.
Yep, as we do see the gauntlet dropping once more, and they actually catch out Hunyega's up in it, but he's going to be able to get out there safely. They walk into the active camo trap and get stunned up. Official Hein on the back line underneath this turret goes into Termination Protocol. It's going to go down, and this might be the chance for Bren Esports to turn it around as they manage to pick up the kill. Hunyega's low. There's going to be the Surrey Strike by Sky, but do they have it enough to catch up? They don't quite reach with the Ford Barrage, and there's going to be the Imperial Sigil to get Hunyega's and Anime Save Me out there safely. But will Bren Esports be aggressive with this opportunity they have? They've only got another 15 seconds on Official Hein, but it looks like Guessing too low is going to have to go back to base and heal up, grabbing some more vision as well, just preparing for the next fight, because we now know Kraken up on the fold going to be another big objective, especially for trying to push and end out these matches. And with what we see here, it would have been good for if Bren Esports were all full health. They might have had the confidence in that kind of situation. But right now, they still are on the back foot. We still see they've only got 2 kills to their name on the board over to the 8. There's one slip up from the side of Elite 8. And whether they're going to give Bren Esports that opportunity again, I'm not sure, because they've been playing it so well so far, and they're that much ahead in items that I told you earlier they're going to have a smooth transition, but I did not expect it to be this smooth.
Yep. Now Mr. Jim actually completing that bone saw, so Mr. Jim can definitely just shred through the metal jackets coming across the board off the side of Elite 8. But whether or not he is given a chance, or can Alpha or will Alpha just jump onto the back lines and eliminate Mr. Jim almost immediately? One shot, one kill comes out, hits nobody. And it's Sync1 really has to dance around the Alpha, and it's not quite an easy job. We have Official Hein on this Alpha, definitely doing a very good job catching out to this very mobile Sky as well. And it may save me trying to stop any potential steal coming out from Guessing or the side of Bren Esports.
There's going to be Guessing going with the gauntlet, the double gauntlet, and they do manage to catch our Elite 8 inside it. The Death from above doing a good job, but Kraken so close to being captured, yet I don't see Bren Esports being able to take this one as Vox jumps onto the backline, manages to pick up the Kestrel. They manage to get the secures. Sync1 so low at this point, just trying to run away from Hunyega's, but is going to get caught. Oh my god, Sync1 with the Surrey Strike might just get out there, but Anime Save Me with the slow, the Imperial Sigil going to pick up the ace for the team, and they are going to push in onto this anchor turret. Might even be able to get it before the Kraken reaches it, and it looks like they had the damage to do so. Official Hein on that Alpha, and Hunyega's just so built up right now in terms of items. And we see that they are pushing in against this turret. And Sync 1, because of falling earlier, or later, I should say, in the team fight, meant that they're going to be up that much later to defend the base, and the first turret will already be gone. As we see Official Hind diving in deep with the Prime Directive, making their way onto Mr. Jim. They do get caught up in the stun, did not use the Termination Protocol, however, and Sync 1 trying to take out Jaegers. To do so, they might still have a chance of finding this one as Official Hind forced to use the Termination Protocol. Is going to go into that Infinite Reboot stage. They managed to get the kill. It's only Anime Save Me on this Lyra up, as well as the Kraken. They might be able to turn this one around, but they need to take the Kraken out now. Sync 1 just focusing Anime Save Me. Not sure if that's the right idea, leaving up to Mr. Jim to go for the Kraken. Kraken only a few more hits here, but there's going to be the Gauntlet, and it looks like their attention split too much. This game going to go in favor of Elite 8. Finally, well deserved and well played by them. They are able to win it out, and just barely at the end there with that Kraken push, able to get the game.
Well, I mean, even if the Kraken do not take the crystal down, the side of Elite 8 definitely have, but the damage